Welcome to the Stereoscope podcast number 4. Got Anthony and Byron, and we got Adam from Virtual Presence Productions with us today. We're really excited to have him on. We've been watching his stuff for a while. Adam, say hi.
Hi! I'm so happy to be here. I've been watching your stuff for a while. So, great minds. And it's the Beanie Club, apparently. So, happy to be part of it.
So yeah, this is a new format that we're doing. We haven't done this style before. Adam is effectively the third host on this episode, right. And I think it's a format that I think is going to work a little bit better for the type of show that we're doing, especially to keep that length down because we were getting pretty high up there last time. Let's just dive into this. So for context, Anthony and I got an Apple Vision Pro demo yesterday with our buddy Brandon, and you had the device. Tell us what you think about it.
I still have it. It's in the process of being boxed up to return tomorrow. I don't know where to even begin to start. I don't think I've ever been more disappointed in my life. I was so excited for this product. It is absolutely a business expense. It wasn't the money. It was the bottom line for me is this is not even a dev kit. To me, it's a prototype. I mean, I feel like I'm a guinea pig testing stuff, and I don't have the time. The amount of hours I put into just trying to get one of my files viewable was insane. And then come to find out, it doesn't look any better than the Quest 3. Wow, that's pretty rough. The pixel smearing issue, the high persistence of these OLED displays is a deal breaker. And you don't realize it until you throw your Quest 3 back on and everything's perfect. It's perfect.
I will say that I was pretty impressed when I initially put on the device, mostly because, they're doing this whole song and dance routine. And, it is really impressive. And I did really think the screens, other than... Because Anthony noticed the smearing. I did not notice it. But I did think that the screen quality, the HDR implementation was really impressive. And all of the other stuff, the hand tracking and the eye tracking and stuff, that's all stuff that I've experienced before, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I did think that the quality of the screens was good.
Well, the 8K is good. I mean, listen, when the first icons come up, you're like, oh, this looks a little bit better than I remember anything being. So I'm right with you, dude. And the 4 immersive videos they let you watch are amazing.
They are amazing, and that's something that we were uniquely focused on for obvious reasons,
Of course.
And
by the way, they're 90 frames per second. I think they're using
really,
yeah, they're using the Canon. I'm almost certain of this. They are using the Canon dual fisheye lens, but they're putting it on their adapted. And from what I understand, it's only running at 50 megabytes per second, which blows my mind with what I know about compression.
The bit rate?
Yeah. Which is insane. Megabits, which I can't imagine how that's possible, but I watched it online, so it must be. And it's 90 frames per second. However, what makes it good is the sensor. My goodness, it's just a beautiful... They're very beautiful. I'm just frustrated, as you know, that you can't actually go and watch any other immersive video.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we were mentioning, is that they have to be using some sort of cinema quality, top tier camera.
It's definitely sharper, and it's got better dynamic range than the R5C has, and that's what really comes through. But and that's actually where I think it's not the Canon VR180 lens. I think they're using something custom, because I think the lens itself is also sharper than the Canon lens. Also, the field of view within the video is not even close to 180. It's something like...
Well, no, it goes back and forth. That's the thing. Everybody from the demo shows...
Because I saw a lens mask at one point.
Right.
And
they were like here.
Yeah.
I mean, like they were... Yeah.
Right.
Well, it did, like Adam said, it did go back and forth.
They do, which I think is actually the future, and something I've tried to do a couple times, where you do toy with it. In direction, right? You can bring it in and bring it back, and that's kind of the fun of telling the story. It's the same people that were frustrated that 180 isn't 360 because like, oh well, it's not. Stop for a second. If you direct it correctly, it's not an issue. You think about 360 for like 2 seconds. You go, oh, that's cool, and then you're here the rest of the time.
And
you never turn around again.
In the traditional flat filmmaking world, you choose the aspect ratio that is right for your project. And this is the same. I've seen, there are videos by Lucid Tripper where he plays with framing and with immersive aspect ratios, and he changes it based on what the needs of his shoot are. And there's no reason that we can't do the same thing.
Right, but I'll go to my grave saying that 360 is a complete waste of bandwidth and direction. Period.
We largely have come to similar conclusions. I would say that I do think that there are projects that it works for.
On your phone, yeah. I love it on my phone. It's cool looking around, but when I'm sitting down viewing content, just like when you're in a theater, like at no point do I want to do this. Yeah. And there are also other ways to take 180, zoom it in just a little bit, and get to like 210. There are other ways to make people feel immersive. There are players. There's all these things that you can do. But God, as a flat filmmaker, if you're going to convince flat filmmakers to go immersive, you're going to have to at least give them the idea that, okay, the audience can only go like this. If you start telling them, Jesus, that they can go like that, you're going to lose. You're just going to lose half of the people that have been doing this for a long time. So
one feature that I thought the Apple Vision Pro, I was not expecting to have any desire for this at all. I thought the implementation of panoramas was sort of shockingly good. I've never seen a use for panoramas. I think they are one of the most gimmicky features of any. But all of a sudden, I saw these panoramas and I was like, okay, I think I get it now.
Well, while we're not to not crap all over the Apple Vision Pro, I was disappointed because of what I specifically bought it for. I literally can't use it for. Even though I got my files on there, they're warped a little differently. Passing the headset to somebody's impossible because they have to go through the entire hand process and the eye process, and then they have to click it, and they have to find it, and they have to change it to left and right, and they have to hit VR180, and they have to hit play, and it's like, dude, I can't hand this to a client. This is insane. But the good thing that is clearly where this is the future, and I don't want to badmouth it too much because we kind of really need people to buy this one and the next one and so forth, so this all goes forward. The spatial shit is crazy, dude. Like being able to put layouts of like, here's my TV, here's my this, here's that. I'm walking around my kitchen. I had a blast setting up my house and doing that. But you can't save the layouts. So you've got to do that every freaking time. And it's like, what is the point? I'm going to spend 15 minutes setting up my layout, and then if I need to go to another room and bring it, well, it's gone. I mean, again, this will all be fixed in different operating systems, but it was just shocking that especially for the price, the Quest 3 is actually a better product. I hate to exactly mirror what Zuck said today.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, of all the spokesmen, he's the worst spokesman that has ever lived, but I don't think there's one thing that he said that wasn't on the money. Like, the Quest 3 is, honest to goodness, a better usable product. I have nothing else to do with this thing. I've had the thing for 2 weeks. I used it a bunch for a couple days. I never picked it up again. Ever. $4,000.
So, on Tuesday, I worked in my Quest 3 for 4 hours doing porting my laptop screen into the Quest, and worked on my laptop using my headset as a large virtual screen, and I had Amazon Music playing in one tab and YouTube on another tab, and my laptop in the middle. And I worked for 4 hours in my headset, and the only reason I took it off wasn't because it was uncomfortable, it was because I had other things to do. And as long as you have a ballast, a counterweight, the headsets are totally comfortable. Enough to wear for 4 hours. And the lenses are big, and the pancake lenses on the Quest 3 are so amazing.
Yeah, no, it's funny how much it made me appreciate the Quest 3. I was like, oh my goodness, they really knocked it out of the park for $500. And it is so versatile. And I work in it daily. literally daily. I mean, that's how I edit my videos. Everybody asks me, how do you do all the 3D stuff and how do you avoid occlusion when you're putting that stuff? Like, I'm in my headset. I'm literally editing in my headset. And that's the only way to do it. So I'm working in it constantly. And it's funny because after the Apple Vision Pro, I thought, you know what? I'm probably going to go back and look at my Quest and be like, ooh, I did notice that obviously the blacks aren't as black. But that went away in 15 seconds. And what came back was the menu in front of me in mixed reality. When I went like this, it was perfect.
Yeah.
It didn't blur. It didn't smear. And I was like, for $4,000, I just can't believe how they could have let that. A Thrill Seeker just did a video on this too. How could they have let the persistence issue? Nobody could believe they could let that out of the Apple headquarters before they fixed that. Because to me, that's unforgivable.
A shocking number of people don't notice it, and maybe it's because you've talked about it that I noticed it. But like as soon as I started looking, and I saw, because you can kind of catch the foveated rendering happening too. Right. And as soon as I was looking at that, then I turned my head and see the smearing, and I was like, "Oh, that is bad."
I'm fine with the foveated rendering. I accept that. I don't accept pixel smearing. Pixel smearing, it's so immersion breaking. And I think basically half the people that have Apple Vision Pro, first of all, you're going to defend anything you just spent $4,000 on. So I can understand why people are doing that. But I just think a lot of people have not used the Quest 3 the way you can actually use it, which is in mixed reality, which is through virtual desktop, which is through editing and working. I'd already done all that stuff. And yes, 8K is awesome, but I'm telling you, dude, I looked at my NFL reel that I show to everybody. I looked at that how many times? 3 times on the Apple Vision Pro. Put it back on the Quest. Put it back. But I couldn't. I could barely tell. And in fact, it was worse on the Apple Vision Pro because if you turn your head, there's a little bit of motion blur, and it kind of makes you sick. And I'm like, oh my god. So I have to give it back. There's no reason to even pretend I'm cool and have it, like it's completely worth it for what I do. So
YouTube used to have, there's the YouTube VR app for Quest 3 and PC, and it's been around for a while now. But it has effectively been deprecated until like the last few months, where the Quest 3 app was updated for the first time in like almost 2 years.
Yeah, right after.
Oh, was it really? I didn't know that.
It has extra functionality now where you can, because before it launches into an immersive mode, now there's a button at the top of the app where if you punch it, it zooms back into your pass-through. So you can move your YouTuber app around on your Oculus 3 like anchor.
Oh, cool.
And so you can watch YouTube as if it was like a side-loaded APK, because I'm sure that they saw that people were side-loading YouTube APKs. So obviously Google has their own headset coming from Samsung. So they're doing the software, Samsung is doing the hardware. And so all these features that YouTube has kept on the side or hasn't been implemented with Apple Vision Pro, I would assume because that Swan Dive app, there is an immersive mode for that. Because they're immersive videos. So
I'll put it on right now and tell you it doesn't work. I hear listen, the reality player says it does immersive. All these things said it did immersive. It doesn't. It'll play it and then it's really stuttery. You can't move your head. The Moon player is the only one I have been able to play. Now, some 360 mono, yes. But Jesus, I don't know who's looking for that. I'm looking for immersive. Again, it's the immersive video that Apple themselves said is immersive video, right? They said it was. They made those 4 things. They made the Alicia Keys thing. They clearly know this is what it is, and they purposely gimped Safari so no one else could be there, which is just silly. And again, it's great that they're going to develop this app. Something tells me that it's not going to be as easy as people think. I'm talking with all the people at DOVR and we're going to make an app that works. And they also kept saying that their WebXR worked. It doesn't. I don't think it's going to be as I don't think it's going to be as easy as I don't think Apple wants anybody to do it but them. So we'll see. But then again, Meta doesn't seem to care about immersive videos, so I don't. Yeah, it's very frustrating.
That is something that is sort of baffling to me. Is that so? I did end up watching the Doja Cat VR experience, not the the Horizon Worlds one, the one on MetaQuest TV. It is in 3D and it's really good. But they only had 4 songs. But Meta's strategy is so baffling because they do music and they do sports, and that's it.
But they don't do sports in VR180.
Yeah, but they don't do them in 180.
It's mono. It's like, come on, man, you're so close. Well, what's good is it's helping me.
Yeah.
Why do you think I was able to look impressive at the NFL? Or I have some meetings next week with different Major League sports. And the reason is because they think that what's on Meta right now, that's it. And then I come along with this reel, and they're like, what the hell was that? I didn't know you could do this. What is this sorcery that you're doing? And yes, so for the time being, keep doing awful, Meta. That's great. But at some point, you would expect them, they've got a 20 million headset user base that doesn't even know this is possible. I mean, I've sold more Meta Quest freaking headsets simply to watch my silly videos than anything I've ever done. It's crazy. People will love this stuff. They want to see well-produced, immersive video, and they can't find it.
The next topic was about how DOVR has claimed that their WebXR is working.
It does not work.
And
it's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. Safari purposely gimped immersive video on Safari. Like, it's just, they did it on purpose. Like,
what I was reading was that the implementation of WebXR on Safari is a limited implementation. Yeah. It doesn't have full access to the WebXR suite.
And why should it? They don't care about it. They never cared about it. You could never do...
It was never their intention for that to be a feature set.
Ever. So... And I kept writing to him, I'm like, work on your app, because that's all you got, man. Right now, work on a really good app. That's the only thing you can do. Hell, I think DOVR could be the next YouTube or Vimeo. But their refusal to clean up that homepage is remarkable. I can't tell you how many clients I've lost, or they didn't gain.
I do think we need a portal for immersive content, because YouTube is so not focused on anything immersive that the assumption that people are watching your content in a headset is wild, because there are ways to tell, but you need a portal that is immersive to translate into immersive views.
Well, that's the problem with DOVR too. Also, is that you can watch it on your PC. Like, if I post a link to DOVR, I get all these thousands of views, whatever. But I know they're not watching in their headset. Meta TV, on the other hand, I've gotten over almost 100,000 views on my videos on Meta TV, and there's no other way to possibly watch that than on a headset. So at least you kind of get a feel for that. And that's people trying to go through that awful app. That Meta TV app is so difficult to navigate and so uncurated and just very frustrating. So it's a hard time to be a VR filmmaker. Go ahead.
In general, that is the issue. I mean, like, every time we do this exercise about, like, go find a nice video and we'll talk about this video, the process of finding a decent video is excruciating. I mean, you go to DO, and like you're saying, it's all hot girl videos, and it's just like, how do I filter all this shit out so I can find something interesting? And then, again, the same thing on Meta TV. I did eventually find something on Meta, but, like you're saying, it's not a pleasant experience. It doesn't feel curated. It doesn't feel managed. It's just blah.
Well, and also the good quality stuff is so instantly obvious, even if you don't like the genre. Like, I mean, and that's what frustrates me about Dio. They're like, we don't want to curate all this. I'm like, guys, it'd be really freaking easy to. I mean, you probably get 100 videos a day. But you know how easy it is to label. That's a butt. That's boobs. That isn't. This is a camera test from some guy that just got the camera. Move that over there. Like, this is something that somebody spent 300 hours making. The Back to the Future Universal ride in an actual DeLorean time machine. You can't find that. Like, and it was crazy. I had him here. I put him in the DeLorean. I had him watch it. And he's like, oh my God, is this on DOVR? I'm like, yeah, you'd never know. You'd never know, would you?
So there's a new immersive video portal on Apple Vision Pro by a company called Atlas 5. So Atlas 5, so the app is called Swan Dive, and it's a subscription model that is
I was on that. Keep going.
So it's an Apple Vision Pro app that is immersive, and it's an aggregator for immersive videos. But it seems like it started its life as a way for them to capitalize on these animated CG videos that they have been working on since about 2018.
Right.
So you have the Swan Dive app.
Yeah. I mean, what the first thing you do on here is you download everything you possibly can, right? You know, none of this looked okay. Let's see. Goodbye, Mr. Octopus. I got to subscribe. Do I got to pay just to watch it? Yes, probably. I do. Okay. Well, that was fun. I'm not going to do that. Is there really not one thing I can watch without paying?
See, you got to have a taste. Like, I don't understand people who don't put the little taste out there, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I guess they figure if you're buying the thing, you're going to spend
They do have one?
It says try it for free for 3 months, and then it's $149 a year. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
$12.99 a month or $149.
$11.99 actually, but I mean, yeah, there's not. Is this all? Are we sure this is all VR180?
I don't know if it's VR180, but I do believe that it is immersive.
Well, what the hell does that mean? Like, I mean, I can't just be 360.
Gloomy Eyes is an animated production that they did, and
but you said that was also on Meta TV, right?
It's 3D. So Gloomy Eyes, I believe, is 3D 360. It's not VR180 though.
Are you gonna make me subscribe? Oh wait, there's a trailer. Ooh, there's a trailer. Okay, it's coming up. All right, good. At least I can see the quality of what we're talking about here. It's flat. That would be flat. Completely flat. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think the trailer is flat.
But why would it be in the headset like that?
Yeah.
I sort of want to do a real deep dive into the Apple immersive videos. Because you've seen all of them. We've seen clips of them.
Yeah, I've seen all four.
So just for the audience, there are 4 Apple immersive videos available at launch. There's only 4. Those are Alicia Keys' Rehearsal Room, Adventure, Wildlife, and Prehistoric Planet Immersive, which is directed. I'm not sure if directed or produced, but definitely produced by Jon Favreau. So in the demo that we got, I think we got clips from all 4 of those videos, plus maybe
Actually, there are clips in the demo that were not in the immersive videos.
I mean, I assume that there were probably a couple shots in there that weren't.
So the train shot was not in it. The baseball shot was not in it, which definitely perked my ears a little bit, considering I did the whole video in the dugout. So my take, I was looking at it as a nerd who wants to see fidelity and field of view and all this kind of stuff. My wife watched them, and she's watched all my stuff, and she goes, Adam, they don't look that much better. Like they really don't. And I'll tell you what I noticed the most, and it's what you were saying about the lenses, Anthony. The clearness of what was in the distance is freaking crazy. In fact, it's so crazy, I have to wonder if they didn't do a little wizardry with a second camera and then mix the 2 images. Because if you know anything about fisheye lenses, I don't give a fuck, pardon me, I don't care what you do, the distance is always going to be blurry. But the distance in that tightrope one, it's not blurry. It is the clearest thing, and you're like, God, I was just like, this. It's clearer than your actual eyes would be in real life, right? So I was like, man, that's crazy. So the tightrope one is incredible simply because, have you ever seen the picture of the rig that they're using to get her to do it? This massive crane with a thing as big as her. It's just an impressive feat of filmmaking because it was such a hard thing to get on the side of a cliff. But then let's go to the South Africa one, which was the wildlife one, which was the...
I thought the wildlife shots, all of that stuff with the rhino coming up to you, I thought that was incredible.
Amazing. Absolutely incredible. And what they did that I cannot understand how they did was the forest. If you've ever done anything with a forest, the compression is an absolute pain in the ass because little tiny movements in MPEG compression gets all blocky. They nailed it. And but then my wife said, listen, your stuff from New Zealand, Adam, it's really, like, I don't think anybody would know the difference. Like, you know the difference because you sit there and you pour over this stuff, but it's just as good, because 8K is really, 8K60 to me is the threshold for, I'm a snob now, right?
This is exactly what happened to me. I was like, I'm just like filtering by 8K now. I don't even want to see it.
I feel like if you're serious, you bought the Canon R5C and a dual fisheye, and if you didn't, you're not serious. And I got other stuff to do.
I don't feel necessarily. There's still going to be content that's made by.
It's harsh, but I kind of agree. I mean, I'm tending to agree, and I don't even want to agree. But yeah,
right. I don't know. I still think there's a place in the market for prosumer level content.
It's all the hot girl videos.
So, Adam, I think we're going to use the rest of this time. Just tell us what's been going on with you. What is?
I was waiting for you to get to the real drama. I was like, you really going to have me on talk about all the other people? Because I got some awful stuff that happened to me that's pretty funny to talk about.
This was always the intention.
I know. I, as you know, booked the Super Bowl on December 8th, and what I think most people don't realize is that it required me to turn my company into an S Corp. It required maybe $12,000 worth of backups. It required a tremendous amount of production meetings and so forth to prepare for a Super Bowl shoot. My goodness, right? It's the biggest thing ever. And on January 16th, it was announced through Variety that Disney was going to be by a deal with ESPN and NFL or whatever. They were going to take over NFL Media, which is who I was working for, which basically just froze everybody's account. And they said, until the merger goes through, we can't, everything's frozen. And I'm like, well, my credit card wasn't frozen. What do I do now? So I got a good deal of everything back money-wise. I got to tip my hat at Amazon on their return policies for shit that was already opened. Thank God. There were a couple things where I was like, are they really going to give me? Okay, they gave it all back. And then at this point, thank God the Super Bowl is now over, because I thought I was okay until that pregame started, and I was like, ooh, that hurts. I'll tell you what hurts the most. This is the first time my family has ever been around me when something of that magnitude happened. I've had a lot of show business stories where I had my own late night show that was going to run up against Craig Ferguson on CBS, and then the guy that did it got fired. And I was like, oh, but we were already in talk. They're like, nope, everything he did, greenlit, gone. And you're like, oh, what? But I had never told my kids I was going to be at the Super Bowl, and they told their friends, hey, my dad's going to be at the Super Bowl. And then they have to have the egg on their face when they're like, we didn't see you at the Super Bowl. We didn't see you. It's like, oh, geez. So that was the hardest part about all this, is that I've got to, I feel bad for everybody who's gone on this journey with me. And then there's all the people that be like, you probably didn't really have it. I'm like, oh, God, did I have it? Oh, God, did I spend out the nose for it? That being said, once the initial shock went off, I have been contacting every single DeLorean contact that I had in the 10 years of doing Rent the DeLorean. And it's quite a list, actually. I work for Facebook and Google and YouTube, and every big company, Apple. I've worked for all these people, but I work for Lakers TV, and I contacted that producer, which has now set up all of this stuff, with all of these people finally seeing it. Not necessarily the leagues, but the people that produce and showcase some of it, and all about trying to do behind the scenes footage for, I'm in a great town. We've got Major League Baseball, we've got hockey, we've got basketball, we've got soccer, we've got all that kind of stuff. So the good news on all this is the merger goes through in April with the NFL. They are still going to be pitching to Apple and Meta, presuming the new bosses at Disney and ESPN think that's a good idea. I can't imagine why they wouldn't.
They already have.
Right. The biggest concern has to be, they're like, oh, that sounds great. That was a great reel. We got some people that are going to do that. And then That's the biggest concern, right? Because who am I? Who is but except I'm the guy that did what that reel is. So you just kind of have to have faith that what you did is different than what anybody else did. And in the meantime, do everything you can to get, established doing other stuff. That's the hope. I need a press release with my company and another big company talking about a partnership. I get one of those, I'm kind of home free, right? So I'm just pushing and pushing and pushing, and I got meetings lined up next week, the week after. Basically, the way I looked at it, I told my accountants what happened, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we already put all the paperwork in." And I said, "It's going to be my goal to make me have needed to have an S corp at some point this year, because I certainly have the write-offs. I need a few write-ons to make this all work. But at the moment, Again, it's unbelievably devastating and disappointing news, but the reel's undeniable. It's just one of those things that anybody who sees it, I mean, I don't know if you saw me on the radio last week with Mo Kelly's a guy on KFI.
Yeah, I saw that.
Dude, he lost his mind. I mean, and then afterwards they talked about it, and then he showed his producer, and they're all like, they literally had no idea that the concept was even possible. It's funny, I just had somebody email me. He's like, "So I'm going to get the Canon R5C. What are your suggestions?" I'm like, "Oh, shit, man." Like,
Prepare to lose
Everything.
your entire life.
I'm like, "Yo, Hugh Ho, YouTube, good luck." Like, because that guy has, I can't understand a word he says. He's the greatest person I've ever met. Like, I love him to death.
Honestly, we've been watching Hugh
for years.
Literally years now. Half the stuff that we know how to do, we learned from him.
Absolutely, and I've told him that. I love him to death. I am amazed at how many times I've had to slow down the video because I really want to hear everything he's saying. But he's so lovable.
He's
right?
so
Like,
passionate about the medium,
Yeah.
and you can see it in every word, and his dedication to comparing the quality of cameras. I mean, there were definitely... we had a Zcam K1 Pro for a while that we got based on his advice, and the quality at the time was
It was a huge leap for us at the time.
But
no, I think the world of Hugh, and yeah, he's the key to anybody who's buying a Canon R5C. But I'll still tell you, there is no secret. It's really hard, and you got to be able to color grade, and you better have a really fast computer. That's it. There you go. There's no secret.
If you try to do it on a potato, you're gonna nuke your rig.
Yeah, again, there really is no secret. It's work. It's just work and work and work and work and work. And just like anything, like the Canon, goodness, everything's manual, man. Like, God damn it. Like, I mean, that's another thing I haven't had to deal with in a long time. I've been, for some things I don't do autofocus, but I sure liked it. Right? Or, I don't know, having a codec. I know people love RAW, but for this, it's really over the top. I would love to have a codec on that AK60 file. I'm dying for Canon to release a body that does that. I will buy.
I'm not a professional DP, but I've shot stuff, and the first time I had to use the Canon R5C, I was...
Yeah.
It was like being pushed off a cliff.
Yeah, there's a learning curve. I mean, if you don't do that stuff, since I do that, it was comfortable for me. But
But the biggest thing for me is camera movement. I immediately said, there's no way I can do the journey without moving the camera. Oh my God, this is what I do, right? I've done 100 videos a year for 25 years. So if I have to insert it into the journey somehow. So it has to be movement. And then you introduce motion sickness. Thank God my wife has a weak stomach, because she became my guinea pig for everything. And goodness, the amount of canary in the coal mine mistakes I made, that poor woman. God bless her. Like, I mean, because you're sick for 2 hours. It's not like you're okay in a few minutes. She'd be out. I'd be like, "Ooh, I'll talk to you in 2 hours." And then I'd slowly work it back up. So, yeah, it's just hard. And I get why Apple Vision Pro's doing the spatial video, and I understand the baby step that is. However, spatial video just isn't. I mean, the parallax, come on, guys. VR180, if shot correctly, is the most immersive thing you've ever felt in your life, dude. So, spatial video just feels like a Band-Aid to me.
pretty much it. That's the whole game right there.
Band-Aid.
Yeah.
$4,000 Band-Aid. with a $1,500 phone that I got specifically for spatial video, and I was like, God damn, why did I do that?
Are there any closing remarks? Anything you want to say to the audience? Anything you want to say to us?
Go shoot, man. Shoot. Keep shooting. I've watched this too many times. Shit, even in the flat world, of people like, well, we need the planning stages. People are so worried about putting something out that isn't the best, and I'm like, it's not gonna be. Just keep going, because you progress infinitely. I mean, the difference between my video 5 and my video 25 is night and day, right?
Yeah.
And I feel
You definitely have learned a lot from just like very basic videos that we thought were just going to be asides.
Yeah.
right, and that's the key. Put yourself in the weirdest lighting positions. Understand that camera. Keep and again, movement. You're gonna have to learn to move the camera. You're so isolated if you're not moving the camera. Get yourself a little bit of a gimbal, and then just throw it in your headset and watch it, and test it 4K 60 so you can watch the files quicker. Right, that's a good tip. Just go do tests, put it in, and you'd be surprised at how many mistakes you made that you didn't realize you made. The tiniest left and right movement, you lose the audience. And you didn't even see it at the time, because when you're filming on this thing, it's this little goddamn... I bought some of those Ventura glasses, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it actually kind of helps. It actually gives you a little bigger screen while you're watching, but there's just all this extra equipment, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But yeah, practice. We need more people that aren't just going to show boobs. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love boobs, but I'm so tired of them. They've ruined me on boobs.
One more ass in a thumbnail, you know, like.
I just don't understand why they don't just put it on the boob page. They're gonna find it. People are gonna find it. So, come on.
They're very quickly learning their lesson, because they're.
Really?
Well, they definitely in the last like 3 months seem to have done a better job changing it up.
It depends on the day, dude.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree. Yeah, we're
Okay, all right. Okay, I think that's probably it, guys. Adam, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. It was great having you.
Awesome, man. At Men.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a lot more of these. Please check out my other VRLOGs and subscribe and comment.